On today's episode of Time About the Movies, it's the penultimate weekend of the year, the weekend before Christmas, and all through Hollywood. 8 movies come out, and 3 of them are by Paramount. We've got Tom Cruise starring in Jack Reacher. We have Judd Apatow reuniting Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann's characters from Knocked Up in their own movie called This Is 40. Seth Rogen and Barbra Streisand star in The Guilt Trip. I almost said This Is 40 again. Monsters, Inc. gets a re-release in theaters just ahead of the sequel, Monsters University, coming out in the summer. Cirque du Soleil comes to life through the power of James Cameron and the director of Shrek, which Cirque du Soleil wolds away. We have Catherine Bigelow's follow-up to The Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30. We have Tom Holland making his feature film debut alongside Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts in The Impossible. We also have Amour, which was one of the big Oscar contenders that year. So yeah, we have a lot of movies to look at today, much more than we've had the last couple of weeks. It's December 21st, 2012. This is, of course, Time About the Movies.
Cop do? What you do, pretty much. With one minor difference. Every suspect was a trained killer.
Jack Reacher is a brilliant movie.
They want me to run, then I'm gonna finish this.
Rolling Stone raves. Tom Cruise nails it. It's smart, fun, and a dazzling ride.
What is that on your head?
You don't want to know.
Jack Reacher, rated PG-13, starts Friday.
And welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the 8 movies, 8 films of December 21st, 2012. It was a busy weekend at the movies, but that makes sense because it's Christmas time. As I mentioned, we have 3 films from one studio. Paramount Pictures has 3 films out this weekend. Here's the first one, Jack Reacher, based off of the best-selling books by Lee Child, and this one in particular is based off of the book One Shot. And it follows a normally non-contactable former U.S. Army Major MP investigator named Jack Reacher, played by Tom Cruise, who's called upon to aid in a homicide investigation involving a trained military sniper believed to be responsible for a mass shooting. And this also features a cast that includes Rosamund Pike, Richard Jenkins, Werner Herzog, Robert Duvall, David Oyelowo, Richard Jenkins, Jack Courtney in the cast. But most notably, this was directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who would later go on to work with Tom Cruise on numerous projects, including also his next film, Oblivion. But also he did the next couple of Mission Impossible movies. And of course, he would take control of that series all the way to the very end. And of course, he did Top Gun Maverick. I don't keep saying of course, but the big thing about this particular movie that everyone was very uncomfortable with right from the get-go was the fact that Tom Cruise's character is much shorter than the character in the books is supposed to be. I think that was the big controversy at the time when they cast him, because Tom Cruise is 5'7", and Jack Reacher in the novels are supposed to be 6'5", and the author himself said it would be impossible to find a suitable actor to play the giant Reacher and recreate the feel of the book on screen, and that Cruise has the talent to play an effective Reacher. And so, the big thing, it's kind of a big deal, but at the same time, if he's making it work, there really should not be a big deal about this whole thing. And it's Tom Cruise doing what he does best here. This was kind of the beginning of his comeback. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was a massive success the following year, and after all these years of having these middling productions, especially his time at the MGM, at United Artists, how that failed to take off. This movie feels right at home with what you expect from Tom Cruise in general. And like I said, it's a chance to see what these two, Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie, will do together later on down the road when we get to stuff like Top Gun Maverick and, of course, the other Mission Impossible movies. So, in this case, I think it does work. And, hey, we did eventually get a proper height Reacher later on down the road with Alan Ritchson doing the Amazon series, which is pretty good overall. Yeah, the show overall is not bad. I've seen a couple of episodes of it. I haven't seen the full show, but hey, Alan Ritchson's a pretty good actor, and he fits that role more. I will say he fits that role more than Tom Cruise does, but Tom Cruise isn't bad in these movies. I actually like these Jack Reacher movies a lot. I think they're very well done. I think Tom Cruise does what he does best in here. He's got a real strong cast working around him. This is a really good movie. I think this is one that doesn't get the proper attention it deserves, but I think it's definitely a good film overall, and a nice precursor to what these two will eventually do together, Cruise and McQuarrie, later on down the road in terms of the movies that they'll make. Because I think that overall, that's where the real fun of these two come together, when they start working together on films that started with this film. But Yeah, overall, yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot. I think it's a fun film overall. Jack Reacher, definitely recommend it. I also like the sequel too. We'll get to that in 2016. But so anyway, that's Jack Reacher. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie that we have here, and that's Judd Apatow's latest film. This is 40.
First came Knocked Up.
I'm just really constipated. Do you really want to?
Oh, now?
You've been in here for like 35 minutes.
Stop treating me like a child. From Judd Apatow.
Do you ever think marriage would get easier?
You can take away the Wi-Fi. No more Wi-Fi.
No, it gets harder, much harder.
Let's just get happy.
You know, I brought my cookie.
I don't feel anything.
I think this room has rodents. I just saw it. This is 40. Rated R.
Or as it's marketed as the sort of sequel to Knocked Up, sort of like how Get Him to the Greek is the sort of sequel to Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but I'll tell you this, it's definitely a lot better than Get Him to the Greek is, that's for certain. But in it, you have the characters of Pete and Debbie, played in the original by Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann, who are the main focus of this film. They're focusing on a stressful relationship that's compounded by each of them turning 40. It takes place 5 years, of course, after Knocked Up, and it has a cast that also includes notable names like John Lithgow. Megan Fox is in this movie, actually doing a pretty good job in this. Albert Brooks, you have Jason Segel returning as one of his characters from the previous film. Charlene Yee, you have Lena Dunham from Girls, Chris O'Dowd, Melissa McCarthy, Robert Smigel. A good cast overall in this film, and I do actually like this. This is another one that I like a lot more than people made it out to be. I think there is a lot there that works, specifically with the chemistry between Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann, and the good direction by Judd Apatow. Is it as good as Knocked Up? No, I think Knocked Up is the far superior film. This one definitely drags on a little bit more. It's over 2 hours long, and I really feel like that was unnecessary. But again, it doesn't hurt the ebb and flow of the movie. It's actually one of the more enjoyable Judd Apatow films as a director, especially nowadays where he's been making more misses than hits as of late. I mean, his last really good film was probably Trainwreck, I think? Was it Trainwreck? Yeah, Trainwreck. Because then the bubble started to burst with stuff like The King of Staten Island, which was not the worst, but certainly not as good as it could have been, and also The Bubble, which is easily the worst thing he's ever directed. But I like this one a lot. I think it's definitely a lot better than people let on. It's good to see Leslie Mann getting some more leading film roles, and I like her a lot. Paul Rudd's pretty good in here, too, like I said. I mean, they work off each other very well. They have a lot of good characters in here. Good elements overall. Nowhere near as good as Knocked Up, but I still really enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought it was a ton of fun, so not much more to say about that one. This is 40. This is a really good film. And once again, we have another movie that gets badly criticized, but I don't know, I kind of like it. Seth Rogen and Barbara Streisand starring in The Guilt Trip.
You haven't been on one date since I was 8 years old, Bob.
Maybe I need a little adventure in my life. Don't talk to me, though, because I'm thinking.
You want to come on my trip with me?
You want to drive cross country with me?
Yeah.
I can't wait. Pick up my Walkman.
No Walkman? You have to get in the time machine before you use that? This whole thing didn't really go the way I planned.
Sweetheart, it went better.
The Guilt Trip.
While you're in the wrong car, I'm over here.
Rated PG-13.
Yet another really good movie that came out this weekend that got a lot of bad word of mouth. In fact, some people look at it as one of the worst comedies ever made. It's just like, I've seen some real bad comedies. I've seen Aliens in the Attic. I've seen Son of the Mask. Why do I feel like I'm about to burst into singing Bad Moon Rising? I seen Bad Moon Rising. No, I've seen bad comedies like Zoom, Home Alone 3. I mean, I've seen some really bad comedies. The Guilt Trip isn't one of those at all. It's a simple concept where you have Seth Rogen as an inventor who invites his mother, played by Barbara Streisand, on a cross-country trip as he tries to sell his new product while also reuniting her with a lost love. And again, this was another really good movie that kind of got a bad rap. I mean, around this time, we'll get to it next week, with there was another movie, Billy Crystal and Bette Midler starred in Parental Guidance, which is a movie that actually was not that bad at all. Far from it. I actually really enjoyed that one. I'll touch more on that on the next episode tomorrow, but I actually really liked this movie. There was a lot of fun with it. I liked the chemistry between Seth Rogen and Barbara Streisand. You do believe them as son and mother here. Their chemistry overall was really good. It does lead to some really good, hilarious lines between the two of them. It's also a good comfort food movie. It's not long at all. It's only about an hour and 20 minutes long, and it really does not feel that way at all. Like it really does not feel like you go in there and you're already out of there within over an hour. That's just something that really, you don't usually see comedies like this going that long. I mean, we just talked about This Is 40, which is 2.5 hours long, but yeah, they managed to put enough in there at 80 minutes to make for a fun little film overall. I mean, yeah, the comedy is your typical road trip comedy humor, but it works fine overall. There's nothing really that got me mad or anything bad about it. I mean, it's a nitpicky thing in terms of problems, but this probably should have played better by releasing it around Mother's Day. I mean, I feel like this could have been the perfect Mother's Day movie, but at Christmas time, you could see why Paramount I could see why Paramount decided to put it out, but considering that, The Hobbit was supposed to be the big box office success, it really does make you wonder, why are you literally throwing this under the rug when you could easily put this out on Mother's Day and make a killing at the box office? I feel like this thing could have done easily as much money as this director's last film, The Proposal. This is Anne Fletcher who directed this film, who also, of course, did Step Up. I mean, like I said, it doesn't take away from my overall enjoyment of the movie, because I did really enjoy the movie a lot. I think it is a very entertaining film. I mean, this is one I know my mother and I would definitely really enjoy. I think we can both agree on that. If you hadn't seen it yet, give it a shot. It actually is much better than you think it would be. See it with your mother, too. You both will have a good time with it. It is not the type of comedy you expect. It's not an 80 for Brady type of movie. It's a movie that actually entertains for not just the mothers out there, but also for the Seth Rogen fans out there. There's a lot that you can find a lot to admire about this movie. That's what I'm trying to say. Plain and simple, So anyway, that is The Guilt Trip, so let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, a classic film being re-released in theaters, Monsters Incorporated in 3D!
Roz, you're looking fabulous today. Is that a new haircut? Come on, tell me, it's a new haircut, isn't it? It's got to be a new haircut, new makeup. You've had a lift, you've had a tuck, you've had something.
Morning, Soleil.
Morning, Soleil.
How you doing, big guy? Hey. Go get him, Mr. Sullivan. Quiet. Make him lose his focus. Oh, no. Sorry.
Scary feet, scary feet, scary feet. Oh, the kid's awake. Chris, and the bunk bed.
Bill!
There's a kid here. A human kid.
Come on. That thing is a killing machine.
Now is the time to panic.
It's okay, it's all right. As long as it doesn't come near us, we're gonna be okay. Ah! Ah!
Disney's last 3D re-release. Now, there was a planned re-release of The Little Mermaid in 3D that was supposed to come out in theaters, but then they eventually just shipped it off to Blu-ray after the underwhelming successes of Finding Nemo and Monsters Incorporated, and Beauty and the Beast, too. They were nowhere near as popular as the Lion King success over a year ago. So that trend kind of petered out there, but we've seen nowadays that we're getting more re-releases nowadays when there isn't any big new releases. I mean, we just had Back to the Future this past week over at Universal, but Monsters Incorporated, and unlike Finding Nemo, which they were putting that out there to see if the demand was there for a new Finding Nemo sequel that would be getting made soon, Monsters University was already well into production and was going to be coming out the next summer. There had already been trailers out there, so they wanted to build the buzz up for Monsters, Inc., and so they put this out back in theaters again for the first time. And what's interesting is that with Monsters Incorporated, I had seen every Pixar movie in theaters up to that point, except for Monsters Incorporated. And I had a chance to go see it, but I eventually didn't do it. I mean, I could have filled out the quota right there to see all the movies in theaters, but I had Christmas shopping to do around that time, and I just didn't really have the time to get out there. But I mean, not really much more I could say about Monsters Incorporated that I didn't already say when this movie came out in November in 2001. But it was one of my favorite movies of that year. still is a movie I really admire a lot. And like I said, they did this to build the hype up for Monsters University coming up the next summer. And like I said, it was the last official Disney 3D re-release, but they have not stopped the Disney re-releases since then. Of course, we've had Nightmare Before Christmas, Hocus Pocus, Home Alone, Alien, you know, you name it. They've all come out since then. So even though they aren't doing the 3D re-releases anymore, we still get classic Disney movies coming out in theaters, even to this very day. So not much more to say about that one. So let's go ahead and take a look at yet another 3D movie, and that is Cirque du Soleil, Worlds Away.
This holiday season, the filmmakers who brought you Avatar and Shrek invite your family on an unforgettable journey through the magical worlds of Cirque du Soleil. On December 21st, experience a major motion picture event unlike any other. Cirque du Soleil Worlds Away 3D, December 21st at a movie theater near you. Advance tickets now on sale.
Yeah, I don't think it's much of a shocker why this one didn't take off as well. You know, Cirque du Soleil is an acquired taste. I mean, seeing it in person, it would be incredible. It's incredible to see. I mean, it is something that you look at, it's just like, this is amazing that this is coming together like this, but in a theatrical release, not so much. This is, of course, based off of the famous Broadway, the famous dance tour group, that the traveling circus that travels around and does these impressive-looking shows. And there's a storyline here where you follow a girl named Mia who goes to a traveling circus and falls in love with its main attraction, the aerialist. But after the aerialist falls during his act, he and Mia are transported to another world, where each encounter the different worlds of Cirque du Soleil. And it's one of those things where, another one of the biggest problems with the movie simply is the fact that you have to be a real die-hard fan of Cirque du Soleil to really appreciate this movie, and I just am not. I mean, when this came out, it came and went. I mean, it did not do the business that they were hoping for at the box office. It came and went. Reviews for it were very lackluster overall, and it just really felt like nobody was really interested in seeing this film and expecting something incredible out of it. I mean, like I said, you really have to be a fan to know Cirque du Soleil in general, because there's things that they take from different shows that they've done, and as somebody who's never seen the show before, anything from them in person, it just feels like something that it just doesn't work for me. Like, it's a movie where you could see the ambition overall, what they're trying to do. It does look visually pleasing, but the generic storyline is where it really kind of falls apart. The characters are not that interesting whatsoever. And yeah, they highlight the fact that, oh, it's made by the director of Shrek, Andrew Adamson. It's made by it's made by James Cameron, who gave us Titanic. His name's not really on this movie in particular, except the fact that he's one of the producers. And basically the producer just writes the check for people, pretty much. I mean, he doesn't really have anything to do with this movie in particular. He probably lent them the cameras that they used for Avatar in this too, but it'll make the movie look nice. But like I said, visuals don't make the movie overall, and that's really my biggest thing with the movie in general, because yeah, the visuals look impressive, but even if you're a fan of Cirque du Soleil, it's just better to go out and see the show in person, because the show itself is much more fun than watching this movie, plain and simple. So with that said, let's go ahead and get back to some awards. Let's get to some awards contenders, because we have our first one here. Catherine Bigelow follows up her Oscar-winning success, The Hurt Locker, with her next film, Zero Dark 30.
We're spending billions of dollars. We are still no closer to defeating our enemy.
20 detainees recognize that photo.
No birth certificate, no cell phone, the guy's a ghost.
He's right in the inner circle.
The whole world's gonna want in on this.
I want targets. Where was the last time you saw Bin Laden?
Oh my God, is that what I think it is?
Where was the last time you saw Bin Laden?
With an amazing looking trailer that is more than likely going to get this video copyrighted. I can already see Sony putting a copyright claim on this one, but hey, not a copyright claim, but just a copyright thing underneath the visibility thing, but you'll still be able to see regardless. But Zero Dark 30, it dramatizes the near-decade-long international manhunt for Osama bin Laden, leader of course, the terror network Al-Qaeda, after the September 11th attacks, which culminated in the discovery of his compound in Pakistan, and the U.S. military raid where bin Laden was killed on May 2nd, 2011. Essentially, but some people also make the claim that that's the thing that essentially got Obama re-elected president, but let's be honest, he was a much better president than anybody we've had since then. But that's a whole other topic of discussion altogether that we're not going to have on this channel, because we're not that type of channel. But you have a cast that includes Jessica Chastain, who's a fictional CIA intelligence analyst, Jason Clarke, Joel Edgerton, Chris Pratt, long before, this was still when he was in his Parks and Recreation day, and before he eventually would become more synonymous with, the Tomorrow War, and, what's the other show he's doing? He does something on Amazon. The Tomorrow War, he does something else. I can't remember what kind of what show he does on, hold on, I need to check here. I know this is unprofessional by all means, but let me see. The Terminal List, that's what he does. But yeah, overall, this is a really good movie. This is a film that's well directed by Catherine Bigelow. This is definitely coming off of a really good film in The Hurt Locker. A strong cast in this movie. It also includes Mark Strong, Kyle Chandler, James Gandolfini in one of his last film performances before he died, Mark Duplass from The League, Scott Adkins, Edgar Ramirez, Frank Grillo. A really, really strong cast in this movie. And the film does a good job of building the tension leading up to that moment where they get bin Laden. And it's a really impressive movie to look at from a visual perspective. And you can tell it's made by the same people that made The Hurt Locker, and it feels like its own unique thing. It doesn't feel like a film that's just copying and pasting the same success that The Hurt Locker had. It's doing the same type of style of filmmaking, but it's doing something very different with it in terms of the storytelling and keeping you invested overall. It's an impressively put together film. It's a film that really does keep you on the edge of your seat, and it works very well. It's one of the year's best movies, no question about it. An absolutely amazing film. Can't recommend it enough. Zero Dark 30. With all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our I was about to say our last one, but that's not true. Our next film, which is The Impossible.
Come and see this.
Oh, isn't it great?
Look at it, Lucas.
When you make a true story, you have a responsibility to the people that you're playing. But in this film, you have a responsibility to everybody that was touched by the tsunami.
The script is based on a true story of Maria Bellon and her family, who I play in the movie.
No matter the color of your skin or if you could speak the same language, we were just human beings.
Thank you so much. She's an incredibly strong and courageous woman. How she survived physically, but emotionally, she's an inspiration.
The Impossible, rated PG-13, in select cities December 21st.
Directed by Juan Antonio Bayona, who also gave us The Orphanage and would later go on to direct The Monster Calls and also Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This is based off of a story that took place during the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami and follows a family who's on vacation there, and the tsunami hits, and the main focus of it is Maria Bellon, played here by Naomi Watts, and the father is played by Ewan McGregor. The son is played by Tom Holland in his first film appearance. I mean, this, of course, he later go on to play Spider-Man, of course, but this is a really good film. It's a really interesting film overall. It's not an Oscar bait, but it's not your typical Oscar bait movie. It's an engaging storyline about this real true story that happened with this woman and her family who were on vacation during this whole thing, and then all of a sudden the tsunami hits, and it's all about trying to survive this whole thing in general. And it's a great movie that keeps you on the edge of your seat with its strong cast of Naomi Watts, McGregor, Holland. Everybody plays their parts really well here. It's a really engaging film. It's a really entertaining film on so many different levels, and it's a movie that doesn't give you the emotional manipulation of an Oscar bait movie. It doesn't do that here. It actually keeps you compelled throughout the course of the film, just seeing how this woman and her family are going to get out of this whole thing. It's a well-made film. It's a film that does not get the proper attention it deserves, but It's a movie that is really, really well done and how they really portrayed this. I mean, people who survived this said it was actually very accurate overall, and it wasn't being over dramatic or, completely doing the whitewashing thing. No, they did the best job that they could to tell the story with as much legitimacy as they had to work with. It's a really great film. I can't recommend it enough. Seek it out if you haven't seen it. It's not impossible what makes this movie so great. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is Michael Haneke's Amour.
Amour, rated PG-13. Now playing only in theaters.
This is a French romantic tragedy film, as it's called on Wikipedia, and it follows an elderly couple, Anne and Georges, who are retired music teachers with a daughter who lives abroad. One morning during breakfast, Anne has a stroke, and the ensuing complications reshape their lives. And also you have Jean-Louis Triganat and Emmanuel Riva as the couple, and also Isabelle Hubbard as the daughter. And it's essentially a movie that is basically a heart-wrenching story about this woman who was living the good life. She has the stroke, and she's basically just fighting the will to live. And it's this family just going through this crisis that a lot of people can really relate to. We've all had somebody who's gone through this type of a situation before. And just to see it on screen with this elderly couple, it's gut-wrenching to watch, man. It's, again, kind of like with The Impossible. It's not a movie that's trying so hard to get Oscars out of it. It's a movie where it really does feel like everybody's being earnest here. They want to tell an engaging story, an entertaining story, an intriguing story overall that isn't going to be afraid to pull punches. Pull no punches, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, it's a gut-punching story overall, and it's a film that really does deserve all the credit it gets. I mean, it's a movie that won the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film. It was nominated for Best Picture too, Best Director, and Emmanuel Riva got Best Actress. And again, it's not hard to see why. It's a really solid film all across the board. It's a hard film to watch, but it's a beautifully put together film overall. I really enjoyed this one a lot. I think it's a very well done film. Another one of those great movies that came out at the end of the year overall. So, yeah, definitely one you should want to check out. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up this episode of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we take a look at the last 4 films released in 2012, including Quentin Tarantino's latest film, Django Unchained, with Jamie Foxx as Django. We also have Christoph Waltz in that movie, who wins his second Oscar. Les Miserables, from the director of The King's Speech. And I'll tell you, it's a better movie than The King's Speech, but does that make it a great film? It's complicated. We'll talk about that. We mentioned this one earlier in the show. Parental Guidance. Bette Midler, Billy Crystal. Is Marissa Tomei in this movie? I can't remember if she is or not. She is in this movie. I thought she was. Also, Tom Everett Scott. This is also one of Bailey Madison's early film roles. And a comedy that actually is a lot better than I think a lot of people make it out to be. So we'll talk about that one. And we'll talk about Gus Van Sant's latest film, Promised Land, which features Matt Damon and John Krasinski among its cast. And after that, I have something very special planned for Wednesday on this channel. So stay tuned for that. We'll take a little bit of a break from the show to do this special thing I'm going to do on Wednesday, but I'll tell you what that is tomorrow. It's something I've been talking about for a while now, and I think now's the perfect time to do it. So, as we'll wrap up 2012 on the next episode, that'll be tomorrow, and then at the end of that, stay tuned for the special announcement for Wednesday's video. But with all of that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. With all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.